Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Welcome to Monday morning. It's a it's a Monday morning. That's all I'm gonna say. I was actually basically sick all day Saturday. Um, did one of those. I woke up, was like, "You take the kid for an hour." I was like, "Yep, sure." Had the kid for like 2 hours. Ended up sleeping. I went back to sleep after that for 3 hours. Was up 8. Went back to sleep again. So obviously, I was a little run down, I guess. But I thought I was going to be hurting worse than I am today. Thankfully, it's not as bad. I was outside yesterday for practice, and it was in like 40-degree temperatures, 37-degree temperatures with wind. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be so dead tomorrow morning." But I'm here. The coffee's working. I'm almost done the second cup already. So thankfully, that helped me get through, I guess, the morning so far. We got some interesting stuff going on in the market. The Saudis. Saudis are throwing a monkey wrench into all kinds of stuff right now. We've seen oil on a decline lately. A lot of it coming from China. Again, just all kinds of news from China, lockdowns, COVID, nothing great out there. And actually, in a surprise move, and I'll click on it right here so you guys can see it. In a surprise move from the Saudis just a little while ago, they tweeted that they could increase production up to 500 barrels. I thought that was kind of interesting. That would erase last month's cut. We've already seen massive amounts of price cutting because of all of the kind of demand destruction happening with China locking down and kind of the spread of that and their economy lowering and all kinds of other stuff. And what does OPEC do? OPEC makes a headline that kind of is, I don't know, kind of strange. Yeah, it actually makes no sense. So, but again, no one ever claimed that everything that OPEC does makes sense out there, but definitely an interesting headline. When you want to look at what's going on, you can see that we went from really like that 8:30 time frame up about $80, and we're all the way down to 76.90. So again, kind of a big drop, right? And as it should be. I mean, if you're increasing supply with demand that is shrinking, right, because of everything that's happening with China right now. Yeah, strange move. I don't fully understand it. Maybe we'll hear more about it later. Is this Saudi Arabia giving in to political pressure to lower gas prices? Maybe, but I can tell you, we've already saw oil drop down from last week. Last Monday we were up here at 89. And now we're like over $10 lower, and I don't think the price of the pump has changed around me at all. I think 339 was like the low that I was seeing yesterday. So it wasn't like our prices have gone all the way back down. It's like, man, oil is just going lower, 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 and it's odd. I don't see the price dropping locally here yet. So yeah. Now again, I at the same time, I would like to say that I did point out last week, I don't expect the gasoline prices to drop yet. Next week, once everybody's done traveling, I expect the gas prices will chunk down like 20 cents, 30 cents. Because again, Thanksgiving is the most traveled holiday in the United States. With the prices of, I don't know if you guys have looked at airline tickets. Airline tickets kind of nuts right now. Flights, like round trip flights that I used to get for like, I don't know, used to cost me like $350 or something like that, are now like over $800. So I know they jack them up for Thanksgiving, but I was just like, wow. I have a friend driving down to Florida to see his in-laws because he's like, I'm not paying like $800 for a ticket. I was like, ooh. I was like, what's it going to cost you to drive? He's like, round trip gas, like $300. So he's going. Oh, I didn't see that. Did that just come out a little while ago? I missed that one. Yeah, I think, again, say what you want. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of the former power kind of step out of the way because it's going to get ugly quick. A couple days ago, yeah, I didn't see. Like I said, this weekend I basically just slept. So slept and then had 4 hours of boys' practices yesterday in like the freezing cold. So yeah. I'm not surprised. She got a lot. There was a lot of I don't want to say rumors because I don't know. I mean, I'm not. It's not like I'm in the Democratic chain, but I had heard, I had read or saw somewhere that they were talking about just the pressure to bring newer people in, and obviously the hot button is the not insider trading, but trading as senators is kind of becoming a very, very big hot button because again, God forbid anybody can make some money. Now, I don't feel that senators should have any ability or anybody in government should have any ability to trade. I guess should be limited the same exact way that like the financial services industry is, because at the end of the day, financial services industry, it's not like we really ever get any inside information, but they want to be like overly cautious. Senators, they vote on policy. They can change it instantaneously. And when you have a significant other like Mr. Pelosi that takes $1 million options positions on Tesla, weeks before a pipeline is canceled, it's kind of questionable. If I had done something like that, financial services, I'd have all kinds of, microscopes, telescopes, all kinds of things in places we don't want to talk about. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I think it was time. Like I said, they're trying to bring newer bodies in, younger bodies, and again, Nancy is. I don't know. I wouldn't say that Nancy's going to get you votes anymore. It's just where her time is over. Right, their time is over. So we'll see what's going on with this oil story. I think that's going to be interesting. But as you know, there is really no news releases today. Being a holiday week, it is going to be lower volume out there. You can see even on low impact based news, not really tons. A couple speeches here and there, right? German PPI, not great. But again, we know Germany is kind of dealing with recessionary comments and pressure as well. So that's another one of the things that is currently out there. But besides that, nothing big. So, again, that's why it's kind of a strange time for the Saudis to make a comment like this. I mean, again, it is lower volume, right? There's definitely lower volume, so it could be manipulated more. It's interesting. Like I said, I have no idea. I mean, we all for the last week we've talked about lower demand. China's backing off. They're canceling orders. And it's not just an opinion for lower demand, it's actual lower demand. They're not lowering orders or holding back orders for a lot of shipments and things like that. So just anticipation for the slowdown that they're seeing. So yeah, kind of weird. Don't know. Tomorrow, much the same. We have RBA Lowe speaking, Governor Lowe, early morning. And that's kind of it. I guess tomorrow night late, we have the cash rate from New Zealand going up to 4.25. That's like a huge, you're looking at this like, wow, people are still doing that much. But that's tomorrow night, so we can deal with that then. But, nothing we need to look out for early morning or anything like that. So, yeah. So, what's moving in the last 24 hours? Monday's always kind of obviously like a weird time to kind of go through a 24-hour change. Just because, again, it's Sunday night, right? The only thing, if you look at a lot of this, the euro pound, totally flat, -4, nothing big. Pound yen, one of the supposed biggest movers, 20, right? And it is one of the biggest movers, but 20 pips in the last, really since Sunday night. So nothing really there. Dollar yen, they're up. Dollar yen is up 113. And again, that one we saw that one reinflating and coming back again. And then you're seeing, obviously, the dollar strength in the euro and the pound, right? So, dollar strength, we mentioned last week, coming back again, all the dollar weakness last week about the Fed holding. We assumed that they would reinflate a bit. And it is. I wouldn't say that this is back to where it needs to be. It's probably going to be the trend this week. Right now, what I heard is December is 100% so with the current. And again, I don't know if the market, is considered correct about this because they've been off in the past. But basically, right now, there's 100% they say certainty, but this is what it is. They're saying 100% likely chance of a 50 basis point raise, and then they're saying that it's going to be 25-25 is what the market consensus is. We talked about going 50-50 instead of, anything else. I think 50, 25, 25 is a little bit slow. I think 50-50 makes more sense than kind of, spreading it out. But that's what kind of the market consensus is right now as far as, what it looks like overall, which is, I guess it's fine. It's bringing it up into that 5.2 range or 5 range is what they're talking about. So, yeah, it's okay. Is what it is. But that's it. That's all we're seeing as far as dollar strength comes back into the market. Dollar CAD, I'm assuming dollar CAD also, we're going to start seeing that one continue to rise higher. Again, as oil gets weaker, that will also hurt the CAD. 89 is, I wouldn't say it's out of an ordinary move. Like, this is not earth-shatteringly like, whoa, look at this. But for the amount of movement that we are seeing in oil right now, I am surprised that this isn't moving just a bit more. I'm saying 110, 120. I think it's, I don't know, a $2 move down in like a half hour. That's a pretty big, a pretty big hit. So, yeah. That's what I'd be looking for. All right, as far as any other big news, there's not really a whole lot out here. When you look down over here, the yen recalibrates versus the dollar. That's another one. Goldman, says the U.S. dollar strength versus Asia may not last much longer. I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I don't know. I think, obviously, when we talk about the Asian markets, China is a big deal. And again, with the slowdown that we're seeing with China, it's hard to say that we're not going to see that type of strength. UK will not pursue any relationships with Europe that relies on alignment with EU laws. Again, that kind of an interesting stance. And again, the UK isn't a big fan. That's why they left. So, yeah. And then here's, again, what we're seeing. Again, come out of China. Doesn't give us a whole lot of data, but there are more deaths over there as well. But, Beijing city faces the most complex and severe COVID, control situation. As I said, any talk of additional lockdowns and lowering should again hurt oil even more. That's why it's really confusing that again the Saudis making this announcement when they are. It's really kind of mind-boggling, in all honesty, that they are, they are kind of, I don't want to say purposely tanking, but they are kind of tanking a market that's already naturally tanking. So, yeah. Kind of, it's strange, right? Very, very strange. I just don't know why they would do that with, trying to get that price stability in there. So, do not know. All right, so let's go over in the charts. Obviously, you can see this is down to 76 now. We're breaking through 76. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, the VIX. So VIX had a gap over the weekend. And, the reality of this one is, yeah, it's a holiday week. There's not really a whole lot going on. So it's not necessarily, what's going to cause it with lack of any news, right? A headline, but, the market doesn't necessarily prepare for a headline. That's something that comes in kind of, after the fact, obviously. I would expect it, it deteriorates today. It is up right now because, again, weekend, what's going on, but I would expect it to kind of pull back. There's no catalyst right now to be able to drive this higher. And with, again, increasing supply that lowers costs, people should be happy about that. That should actually help out the markets overall. But right now, it's probably just the unknown that people are kind of watching out for. As far as the dollar, here's the dollar strength. And we talked last week about it continuing to creep higher. And that's all it's doing. It's just kind of grinding back up. We're back up in that, the 107, almost 108 range. Again, historically high. Is it high for what we dealt with lately? No, because it was up at 111. So, it makes sense that it's up here. I don't think, oops. What's going on? I hear hold on, the dog's barking real quick. Okay. All right. Sorry. Let's just making sure that there's somebody here because that would have got loud. So yeah, where we are right now with it high, we're seeing that. You can see the indices really right now, not moving a whole lot. We got one that's slightly up, a couple that are slightly down. You are seeing obviously tech, Apple, a little bit of a gap down again, and even Tesla, all the way, back to the lower side. So not looking great. Commodities, natural gas is up big. Obviously, we know exactly why crude oil is down, and then gold and silver down because again, the dollar is raising. With strength coming in the dollar, you would absolutely expect to see those two things. So nothing strange besides OPEC. Nothing necessarily strange in the overall market. Now Aussie dollar. Let's get into this one. So Aussie dollar. Last week we talked about again we saw. Again, dollar strength kind of rolling in from Friday. Sunday night, we just saw that same type of movement in. We had a profit target sitting right here around 66.54. And that's, it did that last night, right? Who the heck is she barking at now? No major movement in there that we need to necessarily worry about. Now, we talked about 66 being a big level. Now, we're kind of getting down there now. This was a takeoff point. It's an interesting spot. So we are kind of at a bottom. And the question is, are we going to have this continue? This one right here. We do necessarily have a bottom here at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning after that push. Now, the question is, are we going to get some profit taking on here? Are we going to get some weakness coming out of this position? I think it's a very interesting question. And the reason why is it's almost 10 o'clock. We have seen nothing but dollar strength coming back in again. Question is OPEC's comments going to weaken the dollar today? Overall, I do think the story right now, if Fed's going to slow down, that kind of seems to be what the overall consensus is, or the feeling or thought on it is right now. Should we change that? I really don't know. I don't think that there's really much reason to change it right now, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those positions. If we were a little bit lower and we were basing in there, then yes, I would say it is a good time for a long. But right now, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say that I necessarily love it. Now, it is in a technical spot. It is close to that area. It is almost a full retracement back again. We talked about it coming down. So it actually hasn't gotten down all the way this low. We drew this as like a forecasting level last week as far as fibs go. Right now, they're sitting right here. And there is actually a confirmed level. So I would say right now, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place. And if we go just a little bit farther down, you can see that level still kind of makes sense as a tested level. But right now, that's what we're looking at. Now, if it does pull back to the 23.6, I do think that is a decent level to go ahead and take it short from. Again, and all this is doing is kind of, it's kind of getting on, with the trend. Whoops. I was like, wait, does that look weird? 66.50 is where that level would be. And again, hey, psychological level, we take that anytime we can get it. It's a 50, a 23.6, and a pullback to a level of confirmed supply. So not much more to say about it. We like that level. But right now, it's a shame this is not a little bit lower, but again, we talked about a forecast bouncing, so we're pretty close to proximity right now. Aussie yen. All right, so there's the Aussie yen from last week. Talked about a level. If I continued it off, you can say, hey, wait a second, there's a 7:30 this morning trade. And again, if you're wondering why this is coming through, it's some of the Chinese data that came out. But had you taken this trade, again, I mean, you got to be risky. I mean, it's kind of risky because there was a trade here. There's another push down. This is hit number 4. It was a 61.8, so we knew we had some artificial selling in there as well. It's not all the way back down to the 1 to 3. Actually, that's 1 to 6. Sorry, the 1 to 3 is right here. So actually, you'd be out of it again. There's that level. It's still holding firm. Now, right now, we're in the middle of a range. Obviously, this area lower. This was Friday at 10:30. This was late last night. We were obviously not on. The zone is still holding. Right now, we're kind of at a 50% mark in between the two. Actually, if we draw it, I bet you it's kind of right in there. Yeah, it's between the 61 and the 50. I want it to kind of go either of these two directions. Kind of go up this way to 94, and again, 94 flat. Kind of tells you something about what's going on there. And vice versa, there's another area lower, and this would be 93.30. Right, 93.30, and we'll change that to kind of a green. So right now, I'd say this is kind of our brackets, top and bottom. I think either one of them is okay, but we really needed to kind of pick a direction and move top or bottom right now. Okay. Euro dollar. So euro dollar, you can see in the last 24 hours, it makes it look like it's a big mover. It's like, oh, it's down 70, but it's up in the last kind of 10, 15 minutes. Technically positive, but it's 0 right here in this last 60. But you are seeing a pullback again. So, what we saw last week is we never really got back up to levels, and we talked about, hey, this old 23, we've hit this level a few times. You can see that it kind of hit it again, based in it, and kind of gave us a bit of a Harry Potter here at 2:30 this morning, and then just kind of started to pull back again and retrace, and kind of the profit taking came in. So right now, we can remove that level. I would say we still have a level here, which there's a potential. Actually, you know what? We don't need. That's an old level now. We chopped it. Let's see. Let's pull this. Let's pull that. I'm gonna say right. Kind of a bigger level right here. I'm going to leave this yellow right now because there is a base, right? Strong push up, a pull back, a base, and a pop, and then it kind of came down and touched it. I think that there's probably potential for a bounce off of that, but we do get a little bit more room to run on it. About another 80 pips to the downside. This one goes into the same story about dollar strength creeping back in. Again, no major comments today. So if anything, it'd be a slower grind, as well as, again, any data with Europe in there would obviously help this one continue to deteriorate. So, excuse me. For me, I don't really necessarily have a trade in it. Some people are going to draw it this way, right? Some people are going to draw it this way because, again, this was kind of a change of trend. I think if you draw it from this pivot point, right, what you could say is, hey, listen, there is actually a level here that we would have marked off with a confirmation, and that happens to be the 23.6. So kind of the same thing. If we see this profit-taking kind of roll in, just like we saw with the Aussie dollar, this one needs to move about 48 pips. So, again, it has a little bit more time, but also it has one of the sessions open to kind of help get us up there. I think that could be a decent level if this is truly the bottom, right? This could potentially move, but a nice base, a confirmation touch, and it's a 23.6. There's a couple different odds stacked in your favor all at the same time. And that one doesn't actually need to go that long. It's rather small risk. You're talking about 16 pips. Actually, probably a little bit less than, hold on. Yeah, 14 pips. And then your 1 to 3 puts you down there about 45 pips. You can see that it's not even a full retracement back to the low. So not necessarily a horrible base trade. Something along those lines. All right. All right. Euro pound. So Euro pound completely flat. We talked about this last week. I'll put this across. You can see there was your trigger. Let's move this out of the way. This has been an alert forever. There's your trade. Right? Friday ended right here. Sunday opened right here. What did Sunday do? It pulled right back up into that Harry Potter level, gave us the entry, and you were out at 5:30 this morning. Okay. This one actually, I believe, did it come through in here? No, didn't. Wait. No, it didn't come through. I got an email about it. The alert triggered. You guys can see how it's actually I can just do it on this tab. You can see right there. Right? Triggered on Friday. So we saw it. And then when it opened up, we were able to kind of catch it. So the alert went through. I really wish that, we would lift sanctions and people from Russia could actually pay for goods again in the US so we could get the alert back. It was really rocking. Yet another reason I dislike Biden. It's like you hurt average citizens and they can't pay goods. And I had a tool that worked awesome, a great alert system, and you killed it. Wah, wah, wah. Anyway, the alert went in. Harry Potter trade. We talked about it all last week. You guys should have been able to grab this one. This was an easy, like 25, 30 pips on there. I think that's how much it moved total. Yeah, 30. It moved 33. So you should have grabbed 30 pips out of it. Not a bad trade. Pretty easy for the most part. All right. What do we do with it now? So, again, we talked about a profit target last week of 86.57. It's kind of based off of it. You can see that it kind of got front run. If we hit this level, we know that it's been a level in the past. It's a 61.8. It's a weird level. I don't love this level. So if you're going to use it, just show a little bit of caution with it. Again, kind of a weird level. Could we get a decent bounce off of it? Yes, we could, but I would like to see it drive in here and then give us a really good shaped candle. Hey, one sec. One sec, guys. One sec. Okay, sorry. My neighbor's like, "Hey, do you mind if I could turn my boat if I turn my boat trailer around in your driveway? My new trailer is a bit too long to do it in my own driveway." So it's not like we live in we don't have. It's a weird. So I live in like a private driveway with like 6 houses. It's like barely wide enough for one thing. He has like a 25-foot, 26-foot boat. He's gonna try to turn this thing around and like it's gonna get all weird. I'm kind of like, hey, can you back into? I'm like, can you back into my car? You know. as soon as I am. Okay. Yeah. So like, hey, if you want to back into my car, we could like say like the Amazon truck did it or something. Anyway, what do I do right now on this one is, again, I would not use the 8690. Wait till it comes a little bit higher. If you are looking for a bit of a pullback, there is another kind of zone up here that is confirmed, which could kind of be a decent trade setup right there. Let me run a fib on this one too. That actually we may get some help on that. Nah, it's in the middle. I still like that zone. I still like that zone. I still think it's pretty decent. And that's at 86.96. Again, if we do come back up to that level and start the base, you can get a confirmation exit on this one. I think that would be not a horrible base trade. I think there could be a decent reversal. Again, we're not getting like 90 pips out of this one. Just so everybody's, like, hey, how many are we getting? It's small. It's going to be like another 30 trade. But again, if you're only risking like 10 pips on it, it really doesn't matter if it's 20 pips, 30 pips, 40 pips, 80 pips. Position sizing is what's important, not how many pips you get out of it, right? So that's what we need to, that's what we need to focus on. So not much else on that guy. Euro yen. So euro yen, we're back up to that same level, very similar. What we had going on with the euro yen is, again, a nice drop down and then just kind of a retracement today as we had yen weakness. Now we're seeing yen strength kind of roll back in. Kind of looks similar to what we saw in a couple of the other pairs, particularly the Aussie and up there. We're kind of sitting in the middle of the range, right? Kind of at like a 50% mark. The problem with 50% marks is, we're not really in a major area of buying or selling. So it's hard to really do much with it right now. We need to wait till it moves just a little bit more in either direction. Now we are approaching the top side, the 145.40 area. We've been here multiple times and we've actually pushed a little bit higher. You can see that, here kind of went above the original zone. This one was good. And then we're kind of, if you just move it across, you can see we kind of pulled back in it again. And now it's kind of just, floundering sideways. The reality is, how many more sellers can really be protected on the top side of this? Again, it is 145.50, ending in a 5 and then a 5.0. That's not bad. The formation up here is also not bad. But again, it is a lower volume day today because, again, it is a holiday week. So we're not going to see as much movement out there for things. So I think it's a little bit riskier. I am actually kind of surprised it moved that much in the overnight. I don't know. It's all right. I really would like to see it kind of clear the top of this. I'm really kind of waiting for the 146 up there, the 146.10. I really kind of like that level better. It's got room to run up there, but it's we're kind of at the stage now where we need something that's kind of been tested, or it's been a while since we've been up there. The channeling sideways is really eating kind of both the side brackets out. So, it's all right. It's all right. So, there may be one more confirmation we can get out of this one, but let's see. Hold on one sec. Okay. It was a 7 o'clock, so it's all right. Like I said, these yen pairs are kind of throwing us for a loop right now. Yeah, it's European straight up and then kind of retracement. So, yeah, we're in this. The problem with this one, just so you guys know, is this. Right? You guys can see it well. It's all this wick, right? So that's where kind of the problem with this one comes from. So we kind of needed to get out, like clear all that junk out, get up the 146.10, put us in a better level. Now pound yen. So here's where we're at the pound. Again, we talked about it. Unfortunately, this is one of those ones that here's where the market closed, right here. Sunday, Friday, right here is where we closed. So the reality is we don't hold positions over the weekend. You would have to close this down at a 1 to 7.4. If you wanted to get back into it, you could have. And your original one, your eventual 1 to 3 target was right there. So we went well past it. We mentioned profit taking down here was going to occur right there, and that's where it kind of came in at. Really, really close. So right now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to see if this one can really start to see some dollar weakness coming back in. Not that the pound situation is a strong situation, but right now we're seeing kind of the dollar kind of retrace back on all the pairs. Is that going to be an all-day thing, or is that going to be profit-taking from this session? Now, there's obviously buyers down here. We've seen a pop here. We've seen them come down, and they were unable to go any lower. It's kind of that failure to go lower scenario. The reality is this is Sunday night grind. It doesn't really give us a good idea of kind of the strength behind it. Because again, holiday week in the United States and, again, Sunday with one market open in the pound. So unfortunately in there's no real candles in there that I'm like, you know what, that's a great candle. I love that candle. There's nothing in there. Yeah, there's nothing in that. Let's try to see if there's anything smaller. No, not really. So right now, I will say I do like kind of this area right here because we had lower, lower, lower. Let's change this back to black. Again, not the freshest because the original zone was here, but the way that this is going in means that we're starting to kind of push down and then push down as buyers are reestablishing themselves. So if this does come back up topside, I think 119, probably 119.38, approximately in that level, is where I'd be looking for a turn. It had a great exit off of it, so we know it was a decent base trade. But right now, I don't really want to mess with much of a short in here. As far as longs go, I can't really draw a supply zone or a demand zone off of this. It's pushed it pretty deep 2 times. It was front run, so yes, there is something there. Is it the highest quality? Not really. And trying to draw like a legitimate zone in there, I think that's going to be a bit more difficult as well. It's just not a fancy looking zone whatsoever. So yeah, I'd say 119.38, and then again, if we come all the way back down, I think 117.12 is a decent level. We've got a confirmation off of it a few times, and it's been pretty strong. But right now, with the low volume, I don't know if we're going to be able to get back down there. That's 100 pips. It's probably more of a tomorrow morning thing. Again, daily ATR of 196. If we do half an ATR, that brings us down tomorrow morning. So maybe European Open. Right? Maybe we get a European Open on that one, and that gives us something that is, tradable, right? Yeah, I don't love that one right now. Pound yen. All right, so pound yen. So we talked about a level. We had sliced through it before and then saw it over here. Right now, it's kind of basing off of that one. We can't really use it, and really the next thing here is a 786. There's nothing up there, so we're getting ready to delete that to the downside. Or that downward move, but we can start drawing it and looking for opportunities in the other direction. Right now, it looks like we do have a decent kind of tested level around that 164.60 level. Let me pull fibs here. We'll go from the bottom, even though you could argue a couple different places. Yeah, see, right now, none of these levels, I guess a little one right here, none of them really line up. I think what we'll probably do is see it pop back into probably that range. Kind of something here. Ooh, let me change that. I want to make it weaker again. There we go. Where this test is coming in, probably around 168.29 is where we're going to see this reverse. When that comes up to that level, now you can see, look at this, there's a pullback right there. So that kind of gives us more what we're looking for as far as entries go. Yeah, so this one, again, like a lot of the yen pairs, need to keep moving. If this one goes to the top side, like we wanted to see in the Aussie and in the Euro yen, this one also rolls into kind of what we're looking for. So yeah, I mean, I hate saying, hey, listen, you got to wait, but I'm not I don't have a crystal ball. I'm an if this then that. When it gets to a specific level and gives me a signal, I take it. Otherwise, we're just in planning mode, right? We plan the trade ahead of time and then we just follow the plan. It's not like I'm going to make a decision right now. I'd like to see that go up. All right, before I'm willing to take this one. Now, dollar CAD. So, dollar CAD, you can see we had that nice push last week, and then we hit it again. And again, 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is what broke, and then we kind of used it again on the downside. So we'll delete it now just to remove it. We'll drag the fibs and pull them higher. I don't need this guy right now. Whoops, that's not what I want to delete. I want to delete this guy right here. Right now. All right, the problem with the dollar CAD is one, I don't think we're going to get anything positive out of China as far as this goes. We're sitting in this racetrack right now, right? Because we're sitting in that racetrack, there's not necessarily any buyers that are on the chart that we can tell. The problem with this is really until we get back up top, we don't really have any telltale signs that we got sellers in there. That area is about 95 pips away. Now, we do have a 137 pip daily ATR, which means we are probably about a day on this one. Probably about a day before we can get up to that level. Now, we are seeing a little bit of dollar weakness, which is probably slowing this down a little bit. But even so, this one is continuing to rise. So it's kind of a counterbalance. If, oil stays weak, which it sounds like it's going to stay weak, and at the same time, the dollar weakness that we're seeing in all the other pairs comes back to dollar strength, that's only going to make this one kind of accelerate itself higher. So, this is probably going to be a wait and see as well, just because, again, we're trading this on a technical basis. There's nothing over here on a technical basis that tells me any sellers are going to step in until we get up here to 135.54, right? So, yeah. Unfortunately, that's what we got going on. Do I like any of those? Not really. No, I don't really like many of these. Now, here's a question. Let's see. Right now, I don't necessarily care. If we run this all the way up, that makes an interesting picture. Because right now you can see there is a decent level right here. We had a pullback and then we didn't go as low right there. That just happens to coincide with this little level here, right? And again, is it a trade setup yet? No, not yet. But if we do go up in base, that all of a sudden becomes a nice little 50% retracement trade with a confirmed level of demand. So that's not horrible. I actually kind of like that one. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. We'll keep that. Like I said, we're not there yet, and you may say, why the heck am I drawing the fibs all the way up? It's not up there. It's more forecasting. We know we have a lot of sellers up here, so if it does come up and turn and flip, that trade's already on there. Like I said, this is how you build a watch list of trades. If it turns right now, it's not currently at anything. It's a little bit deep for the 23.6. It could be a stop out point for that one, but if we do get all the way up top, then it does go into the close enough proximity that I'm a fan at that point. Right, I'm a fan at that point. Dollar Swiss. So, dollar Swiss. You can see we ended up Sunday, Friday, right in here. And again, 1, 2, 3. Here's 4. We're no longer interested in that level, and that's exactly what happened. It went through and used that old level and ended up going higher. So, kind of the same scenario on this one. We're in a bit of a racetrack. There is a level just a little bit higher than where we are, kind of sitting right in here. And that's kind of what we rolled off of just a little while ago. Is this the greatest level? No, not really. I mean, it's okay, right? It did pull up and it was kind of tested, and that's what it ran off of. So, I mean, I could say, yes, is it a level? Sure. Is this a level that I'm going to take a trade off of, at, 5:30 in the morning? I mean, yes, it is at a 5:30 reversal time on a Monday with no U.S. news and no Swiss news. Is that the best 5:30 trade in the morning that we're looking for? Not really, but it is moving back down again, and you're seeing right now, again, this is dollar weakness. There's no news out there for the Swiss, so it's hard to say that, hey, listen, the Swiss is strong, right? That's what's driving this one down. No, it's not really Swiss. It's the dollar weakness rolling in, and we're seeing it on all the currency pairs except the dollar CAD, which again, OPEC is blowing that sucker up. So that's what we got going on. Right now, I still think important things to look out for is the 95 level. You can see that it broke through and then kind of came back and touched it twice. You can see this 23, it kind of worked here, but again, this was a late Thursday, and then really we just based sideways and then kind of came up. Friday to Sunday, we did nothing. And then again, dollar strength in the overnight, which we talked about, and then the push back down again. You can see we have such a far push all the way up to the 50. There's a little bit of it basing here, so maybe if we can pull up to this level here, the 96.65, we can do something with it, but right now there's not a whole lot, not enough move, not enough catalyst right now in this one to really be trading much with it. Let's see. 1 sec. All right, here we go. Dollar yen. So dollar yen. Let's run this all the way back up again, and you can see that this one did have a move this morning, and actually a lot more movement than I was kind of surprised with. We knew we had this level 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are done. basing here, we knew was going to be a problem, and it broke through. Now, it didn't give us a pullback. If it gave us a pullback, it'd be a nice little trade setup, but it didn't. It just pushed higher. Now, what it did do, though, is it ran right into this level of basing right here. Okay? That's what we ran into this morning. Now, right now, it's a little bit late to get into a trade. I hate to inform everybody, because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, right? Unfortunately, as much as this looks like it was a 23-6 setup, unless you added a pretty substantial buffer on the front side of this one, you didn't get into the trade. It did pull back. It did reverse. Unfortunately, it's not a 23-6. It didn't quite come down to it. It's kind of a pipette gang thing here, right? But it's by a few pips on there, right? The ATR on this one is huge right now. It's 208. If you were able to take this one also reversed at that, well, 6:30 is a little bit late. 5:30 was right here. 5:30 kind of just missed it by a little bit. It was the 6 o'clock that really kind of reversed this. So a little bit late for a true reversal on that one. I do think that this one is probably going to go through, and if you are short this one, I do think it will probably get stopped out a little bit. And the reason why I'm saying that is in all the yen-based pairs, we need it to go just a little bit farther, right? It's got to go just a little bit higher before we run into, technical-based selling. Dollar right now, we know what's going on with the dollar. It's needs to go, again, it's in its reversal and its weakness. If it powers through and we hit the yen area, we're going to see what's going on. Here's the problem with the dollar yen right now. If we break through this level right here, we are officially in a racetrack up to 145. I'd say 145 is probably where it's going to reverse. We got some room to run. Trying to think. Do we want to take a long off that level? There's a potential long there. Yeah, there's a potential long in this one. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to throw this here. And let's bring this down to 1 to 3. Right there. All right, so the thing on this one, just so everybody's on the same page, basically taking advantage of that racetrack. If we are able to continue with yen weakness, and again, right now we're kind of seeing different yen plays across the board. Again, kind of a Chinese story, kind of not. The risk on this one is a bit much, okay? Again, right now the dollar yen is kind of all over the place with a 208 daily ATR, kind of a lot, right? We've been having a lot of movement in this one lately. I don't know who that is. Potential spam. 28's a lot, but again, we're in a racetrack scenario if we can break through that level. This would be a breakthrough of 142.47. Again, I'd like to see it break through, base, pull back, and then take off. And again, the profit target on that one is about 86 pips. So pretty decent mover if you get in. Just understand it's, it's 86 pips, but it's also a bit more risk on it. So, yeah, just something to watch out for on that one. Nothing exciting. Crypto, as you can see, Bitcoin is definitely flirting with that 16,000. Ernest was posting some things. I think right now creditors are owed, what did I say? 3.1 billion with a B, right? 3.1 billion is owed to the top 10 whoever creditors for FTX. I don't think the FTX story is over yet. I think there's more drama coming to it. I don't wonder, are any of the other big guys going to fall? Like, what does this look like for some of the other big guys? Right now, if you're looking at this one too, you can see that it is pulling back. If we run this down, you can see, 23.6, a lot of sellers in there. So it does look like it's more of a negative type technical selling here. And again, I'm not telling you to short it, do whatever you want. I'm just saying Bitcoin doesn't look great. Ethereum also down the same. If I run this down, you can see that it actually Harry Pottered through this level, dropped and came back. And we run fibs down. It is also 23.6 and off this one lower. Doji is up though, right? Doji is up. It's maintaining, but look at the whipsaw back and forth in this one. Yeah, good luck with that. Is that all? That's all they're telling us, Neuro. I think that's what is owed in the official filings. That's not all. And that's not the money that was lost, and that's not the money that was embezzled, and Yeah. It's ugly. It's going to get much worse, right? But I think that's what they put in the filings. That's the 3.1 was just the top 10 creditors, right? That's the money that's documented. There's definitely some money that is probably not documented as well. I mean, come on. FTX had 183 subsidy companies. 186. Like it's kind of one of those things. Tell me you're laundering money without telling me you're laundering money, right? We are in crypto an unproven asset that the largest banks and institutions and historical the best traders in the world are like, I don't know, this looks like a complete fraud to me. And then they have 183 subsidy companies that they give money to and let trade and do all this other weird stuff that nobody else could actually do because they are unregulated, right? As I said, tell me you're laundering money without telling me you're laundering money, right? So, yeah, it's a mess. But we're going to hear more about it, I'm sure. TLT is up a little bit. And again, part of the reason why TLT is up is because, again, we saw things going on with the dollar. Again, a lot of this supposed dollar weakness coming in. Oil shouldn't affect necessarily this one too much, but we'll see what happens. And like I said, with the dollar, I mean, at this point, a lot of this trade has been washed out already. Where we're at with it right now, it's kind of, I think it's starting to establish itself. Right, we're at the $100 mark, and it's again, it's kind of hovering around 100. I wouldn't say that it's it's an okay trade. That's all I'm going to say. It's an okay trade at this point. I don't think we're going to see much more out of it right now. Really, until we get the Fed notes, there's not much more we can do with TLT. So, like I said, we're high. I think this one goes lower, but I think eventually it starts catching up. So let's go over and look at oil again. So oil, you can see it is actually starting to slow down a little bit, right? Not a bad slowdown. Not a bad slowdown. It had such a big drop, basically this morning from 80 down. It's like $4 drop, right? 80 down to 76 is kind of what we're dealing with. And again, all that is based off of OPEC. Now let's see if we've got any more. No more. Nope. Trying to see if we got some more. So here's the big question. Right now, it's based off of headlines, not necessarily supply and demand-based movement. I would say right now, I would be hesitant to call a bottom in there. I do think that China is going to probably accelerate some lockdowns. Their situation is not getting better right now. I don't know if you can say it's necessarily getting worse, but right now it's not getting better. So, yeah, it's kind of like, I highly doubt they're going to say, that's it, we're COVID-free, we're done, back to business. I feel like oil, I don't know. I feel like right now we're waiting on headlines. There's nothing out there on a fundamental basis whatsoever. Maybe OPEC says, hey, you know what? We talked about that, but that was just a rumor. We're not actually going to do that. That would send oil right back up into the 80 mark, but that's a gamble to kind of rely upon that. This 76 number, I mean, obviously not historically low. We talked about a profit target at 76, and then we were looking for a bottom. I mean, if you look at this, it's been a long time since we've been back here. Actually, let's go up to a 4-hour. Yeah, December of last year was the last time we were here. Right? So it's been basically a year. Right? A year since we've been down to this time frame. Right? And you can see we've got a little base here. The next one's going to be down here right below that 70 mark, down at 76. So, really, I think we need we're looking for a headline. That's what we're looking at. We don't have a bottom, right? I think if we get the headlines that are expected, I think we go a little bit lower. If OPEC suddenly backtracks and it's like, no, we're just kidding. We're not trying to destroy price like this. I think that's an issue. I'm curious to see how much of this is, geopolitical based, right? Because again, obviously there was some grumblings about price caps and everything else. The price, and think of it this way, right? Everybody's talking about the price cap, and then the UK basically went back and was like, well, there's no real details about the price cap. If you're going to put a price cap in, right, that's like the maximum they're going to, this is the maximum that we're buying it for, right? Right, this is the price cap. Here it is. Well, if you crash the entire market down to the same price, it's the same that everybody else is paying, right? So does the price cap work if everybody's price is that, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's some type of play in there. Natural gas. Now, natural gas is taking a big beating. So last week we talked about this one on Friday. We're looking for a potential reversal. Now, this one actually did spike through, and 11 o'clock it went all the way back up, and then crashed down, and then kind of got all the way back down to a lower level. So ideally on this one, the best thing to do is just reset it all. Like I said, this is a really tricky one right now. We are back through the 20. Let's see. We can bring this higher. You know what? Let's put this over here. Here. Really, it should be done off of here, but we'll do it off this pullback. I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, it's not going to matter either way. All right, let's pull this one forward. Oops. Yeah, that's what we're running into. $6.76. So I'd look for this one to move just a little bit more. And I'd be okay with that. See how the 50 moves? Look at the 50%. We go to that level, the base, the 50 now is the top and the bottom in two directions. So, not bad. Not bad. All right. So, yeah, I would say look for a reversal at 667. Like I said, it should probably track back down again. Right now, the cold also is one of those events. I don't know where everybody, I kind of know where most of you live, but I can tell you right now, I woke up this morning, it was 27. And it's funny. I just pulled the boat out of the water, right? Just pulled the boat out of the water yesterday. And I was like, it figures the first day that it's up on land, obviously it's not winterized, right? I wasn't doing it yesterday, but I pulled it yesterday. And of course, first night it's out of the water, because again, it's when it's in the water, it's more insulated because the water obviously is not, the bay does not freeze. It's very rare that the bay freezes, and it doesn't freeze when it's been basically only, freezing temperatures one day. But it figures the day that I pull it out, where it's the most at risk, is when we have our freezing temperatures. So, but my neighbor's pulling his too, so I don't feel as bad. Our little our neighborhood boats. So anyway, look for 676 to turn and roll. Gold, right now with gold, there's kind of where you're at. We talked about this Harry Potter last week. You could say that, hey, listen, here's a drop, here's the base. It didn't come back and retouch, and then it pulled back up again, and now we are in a gold short. It's a decent gold short. I still think this one comes down to 1723. This one, thankfully, listened to us. A lot of times we're like, God, I wish this would just hold and not break over the weekend. And we were sitting here over the weekend. It came down, and the weekend ended right here. It's like, yes, it did not break. And then in the overnight is when it did it. It came down, it based all the European session, then came back up ahead of time at 8:30, and now it's in. Now you're at a 1-to-1. Again, this is one of those ones you want to kind of trail your stop on it. Again, without the U.S. market, is going to be lower volume. Overall, I think this one makes sense. I do think everybody is now finally realizing that, hey, listen, the dollar, they are going to raise the interest rate again, so it will be paying out more. And again, we're seeing inflation kind of, not disappearing, but obviously reducing, and that's not what gold traders like to hear as well. So again, right now, it's down 0.77. This is a trade from last week if you were in it. You're okay right now. But again, make sure this one you just, at this point, move your stop loss at least to break even. Don't put any risk in this trade. But it will probably be a slower moving trade. Now, silver also down. And silver, again, we talked about a level, but really didn't have anything great in here. So we were just waiting for to hit 2055. We ended up touching, what did we hit? 2056. So missed it by a little bit as far as where the target was. It's pulling back now. So, we can pull this one off. This one, it's obviously a little bit worse off than gold, but it should be double, and it's not. They're both down about the same right now. So this just goes to show you what happens when you have a U.S. market that is not at full strength. So, yeah, it's going down. Let's see what we got here. Apple. Yeah, Apple pulling back. Look, came up to the 78, ended up grabbing that level, and then again kind of did the same move on its way back down again. So that's a rough 30-minute candle for Apple in there. And Tesla not only came down, it tagged the profit target, but then is actually driving even lower. So I wonder where, yeah, this one it's going to be, because of the split, it's going to be hard to pull this one. Ooh, if we get a bottom somewhere here, I do actually like that for a sell. Put a sell level in there for any of those Tesla traders out there. But right now, it looks like we are broken. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're sitting right now. So, it's all right. 3.8. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe this is because Pelosi's out. That's why it's, it's like, oh God, that's her. This is our stock, right? Maybe that's what it is. All right, let's look at the indices. So all the indices are now officially in the red. But I can tell you right now, it was definitely a choppy open this morning. So the candle right here, this is this little red chop right here, is kind of the overnight. As far as opening print goes, this one is one of those ones that was a little bit weird of an opening. I was looking at it ahead of time, and I was like, is there a trade in here? It was kind of wedged in, and I was like, all right, well, if we get a pop, is there a level that I'd be comfortable taking a short off of? And kind of what I came to on this one is the answer is no. I was looking at this level, but, again, yes, it hit here, it hit here, it hit here, it hit here, and it hit here at 8:15. It's like, And then it popped up and then started to go down again. I'm like, man, that's hit 4 times. Not the highest quality when we've had something hit 4 times in a row. It's kind of like, do we want it? Is that worth taking it? I decided on no. The next level higher, I was looking at this. And I said, this is way too big of a zone. It is confirmed, but that's way too big of a zone for morning pressure. And that's what we hit. And that's where it turned. But in reality, we're only a little bit past 1-to-1. And we had a bottom piece here that, again, was kind of confirmed, right? Although it had 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, it's, not the ideal scenario. It's like, kind of a harder one, right? So I didn't like this one for an opening print. It is bouncing back and forth between the two levels, but the reality is I wanted to figure out how to get short, but at the same time, where any of the levels were, we didn't have enough room to run. It was really kind of based back and forth. Now, the question is this a reversal spot here? I would say there's actually probably, being 10:30 and we drove straight down from 9 down, there may actually be a trade set up right here, right now on this one. But the question is, do you want to kind of deal with a lower based volume market? Remember, lower base volume markets are more easily manipulated. Yes, all the big players are still there, but it's a whole lot less volume trading because people are already starting to travel. With Thursday, really a lot of companies now are doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, kind of like the Thanksgiving Eve thing. People are like, hey, if I only have to take 2 vacation days, I'm going for the week. So it is a little bit harder. But again, if you are looking to play a 10:30 reversal, it is an entry right now. If it gets to break even, if it gets up 1-to-1, definitely move your stop loss to break even. I think it's going to be more today. I don't think there's necessarily great news one way or the other. Oil prices coming down, obviously that should be a boom to the market. That should actually be a good thing. You were like, wait a second, gasoline is going to be cheaper. That should be good for the market, right? Right now, not so much. So we'll see. But there's unfortunately, there's no news. It's just headlines are going to be controlling this one right now. But did not like this one for the opening print. As far as NQ goes, NQ, you'll see that this also looks very ugly. What do I mean by very ugly? Look at this at the opening print. And this is the opening print right here. And I was like, all right, it's basing right here, but it's not basing in a level, right? I was looking at where the test was. The test is up here, and there's 1, 2, 3 hits already. And then 9:15 kind of went up. And then it's like, is there a level in here? This one, you could say, hey, listen, there's a tested level right there. And if you did take that one, you could have taken this one off the opening print. It was tested. You had 2 kind of front runs that were pretty decent and going down. This is what it would have looked like on this one. And I can tell you it is out. Okay, it is out to the downside. It's sitting 1 to 3, basically brings you back to kind of where the open is. Now, it's obviously gone much lower. What do you do with it right now? Not much, right? We have lower lows. We don't have any levels down there. We don't really have much till we get down here. So yeah, it was a decent pullback. It has hit the 78, so you can pull the 78 off of this, and you can run it top side down to here now. You can see we're kind of not in a level, and again, this is where the bottom was. Not a 50% retracement. It was the confirmation here. So right now, if I had to pick a target, You know, this one is not. I mean, there's a small level here. Hold on, let me go and see if I can. I don't like it. Look at it. It's all wicks. It's all wicks. So can't even really say that this one is set up for a reversal. NQ is the weakest today, so I would say if you are short this one, I would put a projection down at 11,530 on this one. Just unfortunately, there was the short, right? Right. It was a downtrend. Up, you know, basically downtrend setup is what we were dealing with, right? And that was your confirmed zone of where sellers were. So, you know, much better than the ES. YM. This one also, it was basing high. Now at 9:30, it's kind of like, oh, it's there. I'm looking at this zone. I'm like, ugh. 1, 2, 3. This is hit number 4. I didn't really like it. And at the same time, you know, the risk level in this one really had to be like that. I'm like, wow, that's way too big of a bar here for an opening print. It was in there. If you had taken an option-based trade short on this one, I just didn't like it. This is the zone is like, if we can get up to there, then that's better. We had talked about that, even though it had chopped through. Again, nothing really great for a Monday morning as far as the setups go. Way too much risk for, you know, again, the movement we expect at the open. If it was small, you know, if it was this big, then yeah, that makes sense because I was kind of nervous about this area here. Again, chop through, not necessarily a long entry, but you have to respect the fact that, you know, buyers have been stepping in there. They've been kind of saving it down here at 33,687. So not really the ideal opportunity, or the it just, you know, wasn't as good as what we had hoped, right, for that one. So really no trade set up here. And again, there are some buyers stepping in here, but we may actually get a full pullback all the way down. Russell, okay. Russell was very, very similar to NQ. And again, the reason why is obviously NQ has issues. Technology seems to get beat up pretty easy. You know, the small guy, right? The small guy in the market, the Russell, tends to also get beat up whenever where there's anything interest rate related. I think the realization this morning was, hey, listen, they are still raising interest rates. Maybe it's slower than what they previously said before, but they are still going to raise interest rates. And again, with a lower volume in there, it was easy to get the retracement on it. This one, so here is the 930. Actually, I have to bring this one down to a 5 to show it to you. Here's your 930 right here, kind of forming a bottom. Now, it's hard to see down here. You can say, all right, well, we're past now. Is there a long opportunity? Answer was no. On a 15-minute, you can see that this is the 930, this red one right here. There was a base put in right there, okay? And then there's your 8, there's your 9, there's your 915 that drove it down, and then here's where your 930 started. It was an area of basing. And again, on this one, you could say, well, wait a second. The confirmation is kind of going there, but we want to grab it here. You can see that it did touch at 9 o'clock. I think this one being a little bit more aggressive to this level here made more sense. Again, it encapsulated here. It was tested. It was tested. It was tested. It put a decent top in, and it's kind of like, well, wait a second. Do we extend it? You could if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. If you took it off the original formation here, or if you take it off of here, it doesn't matter. Your 930 is the red one that came up and grabbed it. It looks almost like the NQ. Goes there. And your 1 to 3 is right there. So you can see that we are out. So 2 of them were basically downtrend setups. NQ and Russell, both of them are the weakest ones for today. Again, the other 2, ES and YM, a little bit more insulated, a little bit more choppy. Didn't really necessarily have room to run on either one. Overall, I think it makes sense that the indices are red today. Just with, again, everything going on. They are raising interest rates. Again, China talking about a slowdown could also cause problems. And again, I think if there's a Chinese lockdown, our inflation goes higher. It doesn't matter what the Fed does. Now, the question is, if China locks down and our inflation starts to rise again because we have supply chain problems, what does the Fed do at that point, right? No matter what they do with interest rates, it's not going to help the supply chain, but it will raise inflation. And then it's kind of like, well, what happens after the fact? So I think that's an interesting scenario that we haven't really, I don't think the markets have priced it in. So just something to watch out for. So again, opening print today, you were 2 for 4 as far as entries go. And on those entries, you were 2 for 2. So, you know, for Monday morning with no news, that's not necessarily a bad setup. All right, let's go ahead and do the drawing. So Neuro 1 on Friday. All right, Neuro 1 on Friday. We will see how this week of Turkey goes. Right, I'll give you guys about another 30 seconds. You guys are on the thing, but I think everybody is in. Are we missing anybody? Are we missing? I think we are good. Ernest, Marina, well, I think we're good. All the regulars here. All right, let's shut it down. I do feel like we're missing somebody. No, Debbie's in there too. I don't know. All right, winner today's drawing is, look at Nura with going up with 4. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Ernest is like, oh, God, I forgot to turn the hacks off. Look at that. Sean ends up taking it. Look at that. I'm telling you, Neuro, it was weird. You know, we didn't used to get those errors, and now suddenly we're starting to get those errors. I think it's weird, right? But it wasn't Ernest. He hit the wrong button. So it was Sean today. So Sean will take it. Mark that as complete. Sean took it with 1. Let's go into here. Let's go to the leaderboards. Let's give Sean his 25. All right. So we'll be back on tomorrow. Same time, right? And like I said, tomorrow morning, early morning, you have low speaking super, super early. And then maybe Mester. Maybe, here you go. Maybe Mester. I guess it's not horrible. We'll get CAD sales in, right? I don't think CAD retail sales are going to really matter much because of oil. And then maybe we get this with all the speeches. What are they speaking at? Opening remarks. Yeah, they're annual conference with the Central Bank of Chile. Okay, George. Are they all in Chile? No, 2 of them are in Chile. So I don't know if those guys are going to make much sense. So anyway, tomorrow night will be the big move with New Zealand. That's the biggest thing tomorrow. So we'll see what Lowe says. Anyway, with that said, I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. Good trading. Stay warm out there. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Take care.